Hey, welcome back to Planet Hex. I'm Andrew Horn. I'm going to take a break from doing some VHS and retro stuff on this episode to talk about how we can potentially save, some big franchises with a lower budget idea. I'm talking about the franchises Star Wars, Doctor Who, and the MCU. Now, there's been a lot of stuff going on about online, a lot of opinions flying around about how these things are just no longer what they used to be, how the golden age has passed for them. But I don't think that's the case. I just think that they are being approached in potentially a less than successful way. Now, we all have our favourites and our least favourites from each of these franchises, but it has to be said that people have been pretty vicious about them over the last few years. Like with the MCU, everything after Endgame has been under tremendous scrutiny. Speak properly, Andrew. Tremendous scrutiny. Everything Star Wars has put out has been, derided. Things like The Acolyte, The Mandalorian to a certain extent, and a lot of other plans for things that have been going here, there, and everywhere. And it seems to be there's nary a week goes by without something being cancelled or something being revisited or redone. Now there's talk of Disney Plus and Disney themselves having potential issues with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, that it's just not going to do very well. And it's been bugging me this. I know things have been tried before with approaching things from a TV movie standpoint, which is my point today. Two notorious examples being the Doctor Who TV movie from 1996, and much more recently the Section 31 movie from Star Trek. The Section 31 movie and indeed the Doctor Who movie were both backdoor pilots that just became films because they didn't become a series. So they were essentially lengthy pilot episodes for series that didn't get picked up. And that's where they fell down. I was a big fan of the Doctor Who TV movie with Paul McGann and Sylvester McCoy becoming the 8th Doctor, Paul McGann, but it did have its limitations. It had a much more sort of American-centric feel to it, which didn't work in terms of Doctor Who lore and how it was always done before that. And Section 31, that movie was not the Section 31 film that we wanted. As fans, as a fan myself, that is certainly not what I wanted from a Section 31 film. A Section 31 movie I'd always thought would be, espionage, shady dealings, and, more of a thriller feel, rather than the weird Guardians of the Galaxy knockoff that we got with the Section 31 film. But Star Trek aside, Star Trek's doing great, by the way. Strange New Worlds and the wonderful Starfleet Academy. Say what you like, I think it's fantastic. That's not one of the focuses today. I'm going to talk to you about the MCU, Star Wars, and Doctor Who. So, with Doctor Who, that came in for a lot of flack because of the supposedly the weak writing with Ncuti Gatwa's series, the two series that he did as the Doctor. It was weird. I found it weird that it did move to Disney. There was a lot of Disney money involved with that series, those two series of Doctor Who, and it took it away from its roots. There was a definite move away from sci-fi to fantasy, which didn't work for me personally. I thought Ncuti Gatwa was great. I thought the cast was great that was in it. I didn't like the direction it went in, and it just had me turning off. Similarly with Star Wars, The Acolyte, I liked a lot of how it was done, but it let itself down, dragging out what should have been like a 2-episode length movie. And the MCU as well, there's lots and lots of MCU content coming out all of the time. But the movies have been largely derided for years now, whereas some of the stuff they've been doing for TV, like Punisher, Daredevil Born Again, those have been fantastic. There's been some excellent TV put out there. Agatha All Along, that was one of my favourites as well. And there's been this strange difference between the two. So the movies get derided, TV stuff gets a little bit more, a little bit less negativity, a bit more positivity, but still there are people deriding it. And this is where I think that TV movies could really help these three franchises. So how would TV movies serve these three franchises and help them to come back to their glory years? They would, for one thing, they would give fans something new on a semi-regular basis, like maybe like twice a year. That would mean a far lower budget needed than you would need for a series, because you're only making one batch of sets, one batch of situations. It would also give the possibility of building up more interest, if they're a little further apart, like twice a year rather than huge series and movies, reduce them to like twice a year for now. Just for like maybe 2 years, 3 years to get the momentum built up again and the interest built up again. And also lower scale stories, smaller scale stories. It's like with the MCU, after you've done something like the Infinity Saga, and now with we've got Doomsday coming and Secret Wars, the stories are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That balance is going to be redressed to a certain extent with the new Spider-Man movie, Brand New Day, as that's supposed to be more of a lower key street level story. It's got Punisher in it as well, and that's where I think things could be done properly. Not properly. I think things could be helped along to a certain extent to get these things back on track. Less TV series from obscure characters, smaller scale stories, smaller budgets. That has been tried recently with in recent years with things that never found their way out, such as the Batgirl movie, which was cancelled outright for tax purposes. It's a shame because that seemed to be shaping up to be really good. And DC are also doing this thing with a huge number of movies and projects coming, which some of which may not show up. Who knows at the moment? And similarly with Star Wars, there's like 6 or something movies that have been said to be coming. But do we need that? No. For decades, we just had the originals. Then for another couple of decades, we just had the prequels as well, without it being overkill. But in recent years, there has been a trend to just get as much content out as possible. In some senses, some of that content that's come out has worked really well. In the case of things like Andor, and I previously mentioned stuff I mentioned about the MCU. With like Doctor Who, that could be doing something different. One example I would use, I know this was a controversial way to do a series, but when Doctor Who did Flux, and it was a shorter series, approached more like a mini-series. If that had been condensed into a TV movie, then it would have not taken as long to get people to see all of it. You've got dwindling numbers towards the end of a series. You've got budgetary stuff when you're trying to do something elaborate. And I just think there's a different way of doing these things that could be mutually beneficial for both the people making them, the companies putting them out, and the fans. TV movies also gives you rise for rental income. So you could do something like a cinema debut for a TV movie, and you could have a 99p extra on a subscription or something like that. I know companies want to make money. I get that. So for people that have already got subscribed, 99p extra maybe, it's like a quid extra for doing being able to see these new movies, or it's a price for non-subscribers as well. Then people could recoup their money that way. It's going to help these companies maintain the flow of these franchises without ripping people off for stuff that's below standard, subpar content, because it's getting more and more notice. A thing that keeps getting pulled up by people online is weak writing, and it's not always the case. Sometimes there are other things that they are really complaining about, but weak writing is something that it's not necessarily weak writing, but I think that some projects and some franchises are stretched a bit too thin, and allowing these franchises to focus on more self-contained stuff rather than huge interlocking galaxies of, interlocking universe of things, multiverses now. Having a smaller scale to them for a little while is going to keep them ticking along. It's going to keep the fan base fed with new content, but it's also going to give you the chance to build up interest in those and a bit of excitement for them to see where those franchises can be taken. So I think it would save some money. It would give content for providers. It would also give the possibility for companies to put out physical versions of these. So for completists like myself, you can still be sure that there's going to be some physical media to enjoy. So that's what I think we could do to help save the MCU, Star Wars, and Doctor Who. So, BBC, Marvel, Lucasfilm, you're welcome. Can I come to some premieres? I'd like that. Anyway, thanks for watching this episode of Planet Hex.